Like I know, like I've been down in the muck of mental health, and having been through that and then through these are two totally different experiences, and the experiencing things, seeing aliens, that feels incredibly real, and it.
All right, Jen, I want to welcome you to the Wild Big Secret Studios here, and thank you for coming out. I know you had a long trip, and so how was the drive?
Drive wasn't bad.
Okay. All right, so let's get down to why we're here. I know you have an experience and things you want to share, so just tell us a little bit about you and where you grew up.
I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas area, and currently reside in Houston.
Okay. All right. When you were a child, did you think about life outside the universe?
Not really. I was always interested in religion, and specifically Christianity, because I was raised Christian. But anything outside of that as a kid, not really.
So what is your religion today?
Probably just that everything is God. Everything that we see that exists is God, and we're all just here experiencing human to learn.
Okay. What about your family today? What do they, like, if siblings, mother, fathers, whoever, how do they see life today?
My mom she's still Christian. She calls herself a bad Baptist because she doesn't go to church. But my dad, he's open to aliens and different, he kind of follows the Abraham Hicks teachings, but not really as big into it as I am.
I know you've had several experiences, and we're going to talk about that today. Let's start with when you had your first one. Just how did you feel about that?
It felt free, and like it was the most normal thing in the universe. Like I wasn't hindered by this body. Like they say being in a human body, you feel you're not, like your natural state is a different dimension, and when you come here in the 3-dimension, you're hindered by the 3 dimensions. So when that experience happened, it was as though I was no longer trapped in this 3-dimensional body, but I was just free to exist in all dimensions.
When you had your experience, did you tell anybody about it?
I think I told one person, but because they were also into spirituality, but yeah, that was about it.
Now, how come you didn't tell a lot of other people?
Because I feel like they wouldn't understand, or they would look at me weird or whatnot, and not many people I know, except for like one person, is into the kind of topics that I'm interested in, and so I didn't want to look like a weirdo more than I already am.
Why are you already a weirdo?
Because I don't know, I found my truest self, and to just be happy in that, and that doesn't really fit the norm, so I kind of just don't fit in with people and never have.
Would you say that you having several encounters that you may be just different, period?
Oh, absolutely. And now I wear it as like a badge of honor, instead of where I used to, it felt like I would look down or like, kind of like cast out, but now I just wear it as a badge of honor. So, or just, hey, this is what my life plan decided to be, so just roll with it.
Now, this is separate from now that you've had an encounter, you're saying, or just every day?
Just kind of every day. I don't know, they kind of blend because it's happened. So why not just accept myself and all my experiences 100% for who I am here and what I'm here to do.
How many experiences have you had?
3 or 4.
And they began when?
April 4th, 2020.
Okay. So that was your first experience. And like most people, it could be considered one of the most dramatic, but you've had other bigger experiences than that first one, correct?
Correct.
So what would be the difference between the emotional side of things between that one and then the big one we'll discuss later?
There really was no difference, honestly. It felt like the most natural and loving thing I have ever experienced.
But wouldn't that be something that we would want to share with the world, though? You know?
Absolutely. But if people are shrouded in fear of the unknown, then how can they experience complete love if they're shrouded in fear? They have to kind of meet it halfway.
Okay. So what would be, as we get ready to get into a few details, though, let's first talk about this first experience. Take me back to that moment.
I was outside at a friend's house meditating, and it was like a perfect April afternoon. So I was sitting in a chair outside at a friend's backyard and just taking in the day. I could hear like the birds, because of course I had my eyes closed, and then all of a sudden I saw myself walking through my friend's house over to where they were sitting at on their computer, and I looked down at myself and I was a tall blue alien.
Wow. So you saw yourself as an alien. How did you do that? Whether it was a mirror, or how did you see yourself?
Like I looked down, kind of like if you're looking this way, I looked down and I just saw like blue skin, and my hands were different, my body shape was different, and then it was kind of like my consciousness was hovering above my body and then behind me, so like right back here, and I was just a tall blue alien, about 6.5, 7 feet.
So what was your first thought?
Huh, that's interesting.
Okay. Yeah. And then were you drinking or anything before that?
No. Maybe water, but that's about it.
And you were at your friend's house, and then you were all of a sudden just awakened to that moment? So what would you say after that? Did you go and talk to anyone else? This is your first experience. I'm sure you were excited. So did you go and share it with others?
Nope. I Googled immediately different types of aliens, and specifically blue aliens, to try and find out what it was.
What did you find out?
It's similar. I think Arcturian came up initially, and then blue avian came up. And it was, it looked blue avian, or sorry, it looked Arcturian, but it felt blue avian.
Now this it was you.
Yes.
Did you really feel the presence that it was you?
Oh yeah, it felt like me 100%. It felt like my personality, my consciousness, all of that, just in a different form.
Describe the surroundings in that place.
I literally felt like I was standing in my friend's house that I've been to 100 different times, just staying there as a different being. So like if I'm standing in a room, it's me, but it was me as an extraterrestrial or a different being.
Would you, at this point, not would you, but did you see your friends, them, in this particular place?
Oh yeah, I was looking over at them while they were on their computer, and they were just they weren't aware of like what was going on at all, So they were just happily like playing video games on their computer while I was just kind of like looking around the room being like, oh my gosh, this is so weird, like just kind of taking it in.
So it sounds like you're saying that did they not see you as a blue person, or wherever that place is, was it normal?
It kind of felt like I was in a different dimension, experiencing being in the third dimension, if that makes sense.
Go deeper. Explain that more.
So, kind of like the idea of like ghosts and how ghosts can exist, where, say, like a ghost can be in a room, but unless you see the ghost, it's not there. But, like, I was there, but I couldn't be visible to people in that room, but I knew I was in that room. Yeah, it felt like I had shifted different dimensions to, I guess, step into that physical form, I guess you would say. And that, one, they weren't really paying attention because they were staring at their computer. But it felt like I was just in a different dimension at that point. Because I knew my 3D body was still outside on the patio. And that they were in here on the video, like on their computer. But it felt like there was a different dimensionality, like a different, like part of me kind of went out of my body, as they say when you like astral travel does, I guess, and kind of experienced a different form and then kind of just like walked around the room and then went back outside.
Why do you think you were a blue alien?
Because I stared at myself and it looked blue.
Okay. All right, tell me a little bit about blue aliens.
They are from, I believe, the 8th dimension, and they don't actually originate in this universe. They came from a different universe. And they are 8th dimension and higher, from what I've read.
So is it possible that they could have been making contact with you?
Possibly, yeah.
Now, what would you say now that this has happened and, you know, there's people out there that talks about they've been having these experiences. What would you say to someone else?
If we are spirit having a human experience, then it seems like the most normal thing in the world, in the universe rather. And if that's who we are outside of this life, then we're just getting a glimpse of that other reality.
Now, we know that there's a lot of people that have their reservations when it comes down to extraterrestrials and aliens. Why are you talking about this right now? And you know that thousands of people is going to watch this.
Because every time I've had an experience, the main feeling I get from it is complete love. Like unconditional, complete love. You're here to learn about being human. You're here to learn about, like, kind of like what Ram Dass talks about. You're here to learn and experience here, but you are not here. If that makes sense. Like, you're here physically, but your consciousness is somewhere else in like a higher plane. And so just be here, experience human, learn from it, because it's all about the experience. We're not supposed to go and do these big things. They're there for you if you want to, but we're here just to love and experience. And more people just need to realize that the vibration of creation, at least in my experience, is love. And there's just not enough of that today.
In a few moments, we'll be talking about one of your big encounters or experience that you've had. But you mentioned you had more than two, correct?
Correct.
Share with us, take me back to the second one after your first one.
Is this the big one?
No, is the second one the big one?
Yeah.
It is? Okay,
I
no.
know, like they're both kind of big.
All right, no. We'll
So one was the ayahuasca one, which one? That's one that you want to be the last one.
That'll
and
be the
other
last one.
one was one that happened like a few months ago.
Okay, and what was that?
Though where I saw like a bunch of like different alien beings around me.
Okay, and then what was another one?
I did have one where I was driving the ambulance and I literally like zoned out and then I felt like I came back into my body. That was pretty weird.
All right. We'll get to that one then.
Okay.
All right. So, Jen, I know that you've had, once again, several experiences. Now, what do you do for a living?
I'm a paramedic.
Okay. And is that a pretty stressful job?
Yeah. It can be. It's normal to me now, but it does have its moments where it's incredibly stressful.
Now, there was a time that you mentioned that you had an experience while you were driving your ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
Take us back to that.
My partner was in the back. I was just driving to the hospital and just totally normal day. It was bright and sunny outside and I was just driving along, nothing out of the ordinary. And then all of a sudden I felt as if I was just dropped down in my body in like a split second.
What happened?
It was just kind of like a jolt, and I was just like, what just happened? And then like a voice inside of me was like, don't worry, you left but you came back and you're here now, you're fine.
Did you tell your partner that was in the back?
Never told anybody until right now.
First time?
Yep.
How does that make you feel telling it for the first time?
Kind of, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that we discount as happening, and they're real. Why not? In a universe of multidimensional possibilities or endless, why can't these things happen?
Now, most people have had experiences where they have been reporting whether had an encounter where they actually saw, extraterrestrials or aliens. And I know you mentioned that it may have happened to you as well, correct?
Yeah.
We're going to go to that experience. Just tell us a little bit about what was happening prior to the experience.
See, it was a new year, and so to kick off the year, I wanted to start meditating more. And so I had been listening, I always kind of go in and out of listening to lots of spiritual podcasts and just ways to learn how to meditate differently, because I'll try anything once for different types of spiritual practices. And so I just started meditating, and I was in my chair at home, just, I think, listening to like silence. And yeah, I was just meditating, quiet, and then all of a sudden I felt this like wave of energy kind of flow over me. And then like my eyes were closed, and then I think my head was down, and then like I look up with my eyes closed, and in I guess like my third eye space, I saw just a bunch of different beings around me that I kind of have always been with me, but could never see them. And they were kind of like, hey, we're here, you can see us now. And I was like, okay, like that's really cool. Okay. And then they introduced me to another one that kind of came in. So, which was new, but also felt very familiar.
Familiar?
Yes.
How so?
Because like I could pick out each being that was there, and I was like, oh, okay, like I've seen you in like my dreams, or I kind of always known you were there, and it's not that weird. But this one, it felt like, if looking back, if I was that blue avian in my friend's house, this was part of that family. So familiar, as in I have known them before, but different because they weren't part of the other group that I have seen before.
What did they look like?
Tall, avian. It was blue, and then it changed to blue, and then it changed to like really light pink, almost white, like the feathers of their being did. It covered them.
How many aliens did you see at that moment?
5 or 6.
Now, were any of them making contact with you?
In what way do you mean?
Like maybe waving, how are you doing? It's going to be okay. You know, were they communicating with you at that moment?
They were just kind of like, hey, we're here. We're kind of like your like spirit team, and we're here just to let you know that we're here. We know that like you've wanted to see things, and so we're here to show you that we're here. Kind of like bridging that gap of, can I see them, can I not? They weren't there like physically in 3D, but like with my third eye I could see them, and they were just like, hey, we can't really come into this physical, but we can do it this way. So that way you can see us, you know we're here, and you can just kind of continue forward, supported.
So is it safe to say that these aliens were similar to how you saw yourself in the first time?
Yes. Yeah, it felt really supportive, really caring and loving, and it's kind of like, we're here to support you, we got your back. Just keep moving forward.
And they were blue?
One was blue, it was like 5 different types. One was like a big white reptilian, one was blue Arcturian, and then there was like a green one, green, yellow, and then the white one, and then there was like a tall bug type one.
Now, I know we're going to discuss what we call the big one in a few moments. Did you ever think about, hey, maybe I needed to go talk to a psychiatrist or something?
No, I've talked to psychiatrists. I wouldn't tell a psychiatrist this.
You wouldn't tell them?
No.
Why?
Because they think I'm crazier than I already am.
But then that's why all of us see them anyway, though, right?
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, I've dealt with lots of mental health issues. I've been to mental health hospitals for personal stuff, and that's all cleared up. But I don't really want to go talk to a therapist or psychiatrist about this one.
Yeah, but this would be the point where they get their bang for their buck, you know? And
I don't want to go back to a psych hospital.
okay, well, you think they would do that, though?
I don't know, like, because my psychiatrist now, she's really cool, but I don't want to push that edge, so.
Okay, and you're saying you've been there before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I know, like, I've been down in the muck of mental health, and having been through that and then through these are 2 totally different experiences, and the experiencing things, seeing aliens, that feels incredibly real and it's true, whereas I have been deep in depression, PTSD, postpartum depression, severe anxiety. Those are 2 totally separate things.
Now, you were married.
Mm-hmm.
Were you having any of these encounters while you were married?
No.
Do your ex know about them?
No.
Do he watch Why the Big Secret?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right, so we're not going to go back into that phase of your life, but you're okay now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've done all the work.
You've done all the work.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So would some of the work that you've done there could be applied to why you're handling this so
I think
greatly?
so. I think so, because I got divorced in 2018, February 20th, 2018. And I started, hospitalized February 2019, and then in 2020 was when everything started. In 2019, I went through my super difficult dark night of the soul and really decided to turn my life around and to take control of my life and take control of my mental health and get healthy and get happy. And it was up to me and me alone. So ever since I've kind of crossed that threshold of being healthy, that's when kind of everything started happening.
So let's get ready to talk about what I would consider the big one.
Okay.
And I've heard stories before, but before we get into it, give me your total emotions about this particular incident.
Love. Complete love. Kind of like a understanding of, oh, that's why I chose to come here and like live as a human. And then after, it's just like, okay, well, now I have to figure out a way to bring this love to other people, because I can't hold this in. This is too big for one person to hold in. It's meant to be given away and shared.
Now you're saying something meant, besides the encounter itself, there is a message or some type?
Yeah.
Okay. Will you be willing to share that message in a moment?
Yeah.
Okay. So take me back to the encounter. Let's go.
So the first night, it was, we drank ayahuasca and had the typical ego death that comes with drinking ayahuasca. And then the second day, Saturday, we did ayahuasca. We drank it at about noon. And we took these eye drops called sananga. And it's a shaman, like a shaman gives them to you. You drop it, they drop one in each eye. And then after you have the eye drops, and then you drink the ayahuasca. And I remember they put a drop in each of my eyes, burned really bad, and they just said close them, like keep your eyes closed, it'll go away. So I laid back on my mat, because you're in like the middle of the woods, and then I laid back on my mat, and then I kept my eyes closed, and then I like opened my eyes, and I saw myself in a lab type area on a table. And then I looked up. So if I'm like laying down, I looked up, and right above me, like right here, was an alien, and they're like, welcome back. We need to like do some upgrades, so that's why you're here. And I was like, what are you talking about, upgrades? And they're just like, we need to do some energetic upgrades to help you raise your vibration or frequency to kind of help you in this next phase of your human life. And then, do you want me to tell like the whole experience even after that? Okay. And then I was like, okay, sounds good. Because it felt like family. It felt like in the movie Avatar, when he goes down as the human and then wakes up as the alien, he knows everyone around them. They are friends. And that's exactly what it felt like. And then after I stood up, and I was back on 3D, stood up, walked over, drank the ayahuasca, went back and sat back down on my like little mat. I just remember it was like all I could see was like this golden sphere suspended in total darkness, and little specks of gold just kind of like rushing off. And it was like I had a narrator behind me, and they're like, this is what source is, and all the little sparks of like gold specks is each soul separating, so I could see them coming from and going back and coming from and going back, and there was just all this movement around this gold sphere. And then it was like I could see the spark of creation, all these things happen, and then everything turned to this super light pink color. And it was just as, I had my eyes closed, of course, and everything was just shimmering pink, and I could hear the birds behind me, but then I could see nothing but like all these different hues of like white and gold and pink and super light like pastel colors kind of like flowing by. And I was just enraptured by this like complete and utter love. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, after I sat there crying for like 30 minutes, and there's like, go tell the world, go tell everybody that this is the truth of reality, that everything is rooted in love. The bad, the ugly, the things that don't make sense, it's love. It's love in a weird package that I love you so much, I'm gonna lower myself to put myself in this package so that you can understand how to love yourself better, or you can understand the lesson. And yeah, and then I came out of it, and ever since then it's just, how do I express it in a different way and learn how to show people every single day and work towards showing more and more people and getting the message out that you are loved completely, just exactly for who you are.
So, how old is your daughter?
7.5.
Is any of these teachings you're going to teach her?
Oh, absolutely. I try and tell her that she's, because you know, at 7.5, you already have like bullies and all that fun human things, and I'm just like, look, they are, they're having their own experience. There's something probably going on at home or elsewhere, and that doesn't mean you should be any less kind to them, because everyone needs more kindness, and love them as you would, yourself, and trying to teach her how to love herself better and to just accept her for who she is.
Will you tell her the extraterrestrial side of things?
I definitely talk to her about aliens. She thinks it's super cool. She'll watch documentaries with me. She'll watch Why the Big Secret with me sometimes, or she'll watch Gaia or Forbidden Knowledge, because I'm always watching documentaries, and I'll just be like, hey, aliens exist, and then she loses her mind because she thinks it's the coolest thing in the world. So she's like, what do they look like? And I'm like, what if they look like you? And she's just like, no way! And she gets super excited.
Now, have you gotten a phone call from her father saying, hey, don't teach our daughter those things? Or
no. I don't know if she tells him or not, but she's also has a little bit of ADHD, so she might forget about it, but that's fine. I can keep reminding her.
So now that you are on a mission and you're saying this is something you want to spread to the world, are there others out there like you that has been, what's the word I should use, that has been called?
Like called in like what way?
Well, in other words, you've been given a task. It's something you say you want to share with everyone, or is there other people that you've seen or talked with that is also sharing the same message? Because obviously you may not be able to reach 5 billion people.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think the whole conscious community, we're all saying the same thing. Like, if I listen to Billy Carson, if I listen to Stephen Greer, if I listen to David Icke, if I listen to anybody, yeah, they tell you all of the reality of like what's actually happening right now, and it doesn't look good, but at the same time, it's like, no, you have to change your focus, and they're all saying the same thing. Everything is love. Like, it's going somewhere. It's doing something amazing. So it's love. It has to be, because if that's the main truth in all of existence, how can there be anything else?
Love is the answer.
Yep. Even when it doesn't seem like it, somehow it's true.
Well, what do we say to all what's happening today? They don't want to disclose anything, so where's the love?
I kind of see it as they don't want to disclose anything, but look at what we're still doing, even with everything being under wraps. Look at what is still coming out. Look at how hard we're all working to find the truth of what it is. Something's absolutely going on, but the people who are keeping it under wraps are keeping it under wraps, but they can't hold back the truth, and so they're trying harder and harder and pushing more and more, and it's just like, one, we're shifting. If you look back at the Great Year Cycle or the Yuga Cycle, there's a huge shift about to happen, and people are slowly waking up. Doesn't matter how slow it is, it's still happening. And if we're all just here for an experience and learning, what is, like, yes, there's tons of stuff to do and there's tons of work to be done. At the end of the day, what is there to do other than what's right in front of us? We can't get it wrong.
We can't get it wrong.
Because if you were doing it wrong, then you wouldn't be doing the exact thing, the exact thing that you're doing. I know I've spent so much of my life thinking I was doing something wrong. And it was like, nope, I'm exactly where I need to be. Am I where I ultimately want to be? No, but I'm exactly where I need to be at exactly the right time. And that is 100% okay.
Well, it sounds like there's people that have, more deeper emotions when it comes down to this, where there's fear, there's anxiety. Why would you say you seem to be a little more chipper about it versus some other people that just are still dealing with this mental health issue of these things?
I've gone into the darkest places of my mind, and that's why I wrote my book. And because it's talking about essentially my journey of going into the darkness of that I thought was me, and all the things, like those shadows. Carl Jung talks about, like, the shadow work. I did all that. I've spent years doing that shadow work, and I found light in the midst of the darkness. And so many people I have found are not willing to look at that darkness. Like, they'll just keep themselves distracted with whatever they can, whether it be relationships, sports, movies, anything to keep from focusing on that darkness within them. And it's like, just take the time, look at it, feel it, go through it. It's not easy. There's a reason that mystery schools, it's like you have to go through that just to go through the initiation phase. But once you go through it, you're free because you've already faced the demon within you. So what in the world is there to fear when you've faced it yourself? And you have realized that it is a part of you. I don't know, there's just, like, do I get scared? Yeah, I'm still human. I get really freaked out and super anxious sometimes. And then I'm like, it's okay, I got this. I can still do it. Because I've been through so much worse. Every time I look back, like look at something really hard, I just think, okay, well, I've made it through all of these other things that seemed just as hard, and I still made it through. What makes this any different? So fear is just false evidence appearing real. Because when you actually do it, it's not, it just kind of goes away and it dissipates. The emotion of fear behind it, it just kind of goes away. And if you know it and you understand what's happening, what is there to fear about it?
Any more details about this big event that you had that we leave out?
I don't think so. I just remember feeling just overwhelming sense of like love, just complete and utter love. And I heard Daryl Inca, I was listening to him the other day, and he was saying, like, because I know I struggled with self-worth a whole lot before I started doing all this personal work. And he was saying, like, if you exist, you have worth. Because if you didn't, it's a conundrum. If you didn't exist, you wouldn't have any worth. You exist, you have self-worth. So whatever small thing of hope you need to hold on to get through whatever you're going through, hold on to it. Hold on to it, white knuckles and all. And you will find that you have worth, that you are loved, that everything is here for you, and that you truly do create the reality in which you live. And you get to choose if you want heaven or hell.
So where do you go from here? I know you say you wrote books, or writing books.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the first book.
First book, it's badly written, love it to death, but I had no idea what I was doing when I wrote it. I just wrote it. And it's called What is Worth, and it's just about all the things I've learned from ways in which my Christian upbringing brought me down and helped me to second guess myself on everything, and just a lot of different things that kind of helped uplift me during my darkest times. And then so that's out, and then I'm writing 2 more books, and yeah, learning how to write now officially, going to school for writing. So, and then I'll be starting a podcast back up all about mental health and how, like, different conspiracy theories, different things that are not really talked about super often, and just giving them a different spin of like, hey, these things exist, hey, this exists, what can we do? Oh, we are literal sparks of consciousness and source, and we create everything. So instead of sitting in a state of helplessness, sit in the state of empowerment and choose the reality you wish to be in. I think people don't realize how powerful they are. But in order to realize that, you have to overcome yourself.
Well, I am happy that you have dealt with these things in the best of ways. I understand, like you said, from how deep things did get and how they can be for people.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to just leave with a last word of encouragement, especially in this space. I mean, there's a lot of high strangeness.
Oh, yeah.
What would be the sound alarm, not in a negative sense, but the message that they need to begin this process?
The process of, like, healing? Or
healing, yes.
Healing? Love yourself the way you wished that someone else would love you. Or the love you desperately want to give to someone, give it to yourself, because you need it most.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for sharing your story with us.
Of course.
Here with the Why Big Secret family, and just being a part of things. And I know there's going to be people who are going to get a lot out of this story, especially, focusing on the word love. And not all encounters are negative, as most people have reported. Not all encounters are emotional, where people just can't really figure things out. But ultimately, you did. And so I just want to say that to the people that are listening and watching, that love is out there.
And I think if they, because I know with myself, at first I didn't understand what it all meant. But I trusted myself to know, hey, you know what, like trust your intuition and it will tell you exactly what you need to know.
Thank you for coming.
Of course. Thank you for having me.